Welcome back to Bible Study. Glad to have you with us for another day as we are continuing on through this journey of Advent. We are walking day by day through this devotional, Honest Advent by Scott Erickson. Hopefully you're enjoying this, whether or not you are reading the book. Hopefully you're enjoying it, but I want to encourage you, even if you picked it up and stopped it, or maybe even haven't picked it up and started it at all. This is such an easy read. It's only like 2 pages, 3 pages every day. Super simple, super insightful, and really kind of different than most of the Advent and Christmas devotionals that I've ever participated in. So I hope you're enjoying it. I know that I am. All of this brought to you courtesy of Christ's Table. Want to encourage you, if you'd like to find out more about us, you can visit that website, www.christtable.today. Sign up for our email list there, and would certainly encourage you to donate. If you feel so led, I have a gift that I will send you in the mail as a thank you for your donation to us. Well, let's dig in. As we come to the season of Advent, one of the primary passages that becomes a part of our regular celebration of this event is in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. And over the last couple of days, we have been just kind of digging into this verse as deeply as we are able to do. And so why don't I just read it for us here again, Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. The government will rest on his shoulders. Now we see this as a prophecy, looking forward to Jesus or the coming Messiah. Don't know how long it was going to be before this individual shows up, but we see the answer to this prophecy in being Jesus. And Isaiah says about this individual, the Messiah, that he will be 4 things. In fact, he will be called 4 things: Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. Now, we've talked the last couple of days through those first 2, Wonderful Counselor and Mighty God. If you missed those, I encourage you to go back in the archives and take a look at those. But today, I want to focus for just a moment on this idea of Everlasting Father. It's interesting to me, just on first read through this, that it doesn't say Everlasting Mother. I'm not sure that I've ever thought about that before, but it's interesting to me because so much of the Christmas story revolves around women. Certainly it is Mary's story. Jesus is Mary's baby. Joseph certainly plays a role in the Christmas story, but it's at best a supporting role to Mary's lead actress. Joseph doesn't seem to even speak at all in the Christmas story. Mary speaks a lot. Even Elizabeth, Mary's cousin, speaks a lot. Her husband, in fact, his voice is taken away, Zechariah's voice is. And so the men don't seem to play a primary role in the Christmas story. It's women. And yet, here we see that it shall be that he is called Everlasting Father. It's easy sometimes, I think, to forget the importance and the role of the Father. Now, I'm not going to take a lot of time to dive into that because I think maybe culturally we've spent a lot of time, maybe too much time, focusing on men and on their role, especially maybe in the Christmas story as well. So I think that it is, though, incumbent upon us to say that there is something very specific, probably, that is needing to be communicated here through this idea of an everlasting Father. The role of a father is difficult. Now, it may not be more difficult than the role of a mother. It may be less difficult in some ways than the role of a mother. But that's not to say that it isn't difficult being a dad. Weekend warrior. Most dads, in a lot of ways, end up being weekend warriors. Now, that term is oftentimes used in regards to projects, things that they want to do, hobbies around the house, or or around the yard, but a lot of guys end up being weekend warriors relationally as well, disconnected from their family, disconnected from their kids emotionally, practically gone a lot during the week, and on the weekends hopefully are able to give an hour or two, not just to a project that interests them or that has need, but also give an hour or two to their spouse, give an hour or two to their kids, give an hour or two to their friends. A lot of dads, fathers at best are weekend warriors. Sometimes maybe because fathers have to. That's just the rhythm of life. But also sometimes because it's a choice. They don't feel comfortable maybe in their role as a spouse or as a father. Maybe they feel more comfortable on the golf course or more comfortable out on the water, more comfortable in the shop, more comfortable out doing something, producing something with their hands. Now I know that I've made a lot of stereotypes there, and I hope that you'll forgive me for that. My point simply is that for a lot of people, the idea of a dad or a father is one where your father was a weekend warrior in your life at best, maybe was doing things to provide for you, but wasn't really present emotionally with you or for you, or physically with you or for you. Maybe for some of you that was your mother. Maybe some of you grew up in a single parent home, and maybe dad was the single parent, maybe mom was a single parent, and just the fact that there wasn't somebody there to help meant that there just wasn't a lot of time or energy for you. Not everybody had that experience growing up. Some had pretty incredible home lives, and so the idea of a father or a mother being fully present at all times when you needed it is something that you can understand, but maybe not something that you can empathize with, that you experienced. But for many others, the idea of an everlasting father is one that is it rings hollow in a way. You don't necessarily understand what that looks like, or maybe for some how to accomplish that. Maybe you're the one who's struggling with that, or maybe in your child rearing years failed with that. I think that maybe when we come to this verse in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, where it talks about Christ, God, being a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, a Prince of Peace, this everlasting Father line is maybe perhaps one of the ones that is the most volatile, one of the most difficult to understand, but maybe one of the roles that is most important out of those four. John chapter 1, verse 1, doesn't really start with the origin story of Jesus as the son of Mary and Joseph, but starts with the origin story of Jesus from the very beginning of human time. In the beginning was the Word. The word there translated as logos, which is pointing towards Jesus. And so you could reasonably substitute the word Jesus for word if you wanted to help you understand this. In the beginning was the Word, or was Jesus. And Jesus, as the Word, was with God, and Jesus was God. And he was with God in the very beginning. Through him all things were made, and without Jesus nothing was made that has been made. All of us have two parents. They provided the DNA, the genetic code to create us, whether or not they were present in the beginning with us, or whether or not they were present during our formative years or our adult years. All of us have two individuals whom we look to as a parent, as a father, as a mother figure, even if they didn't fulfill the role of fatherhood or motherhood. We can't do anything about the fact that these two were there in the beginning and because of that, we exist. John points out that very fact there with Jesus, that Jesus was there the very beginning when we as humanity, when all things were created. Jesus was there. Our formation story as humans is thanks to mom and dad. Our formation story, our creation story, as far as humanity, is thanks to Jesus. But he didn't abandon us. No, he didn't abandon us. He was there with us each and every step of the way. God wasn't a weekend warrior. He was there every moment, every day, through the good times, through the bad times, and all times in between. He was there. And he proved that by showing up. How is it that a mother or a father can best prove their love and their care and their intentionality? It's by showing up. It's by choosing the ball game over time away with friends. It's by choosing the choir performance or the Christmas party over the staff party at work. It's by being there with your kids on weekend visits whenever you have them, and making sure that you're fully present when they're there. It's by putting down the cell phone when they ask you to, and rather than surfing social media or Twitter or reading the news, it's being there mentally present with them. This is the beauty of Christmas. This is the true miracle of Advent, in that it is God with us, not just God creating us, but it's God choosing to be with us. Everlasting Father. Not just a father who donated some DNA in a moment of ecstasy at the beginning of life, but the Father who is chosen to be with us, a parent who is chosen to be there each and every step of the way. Whether we wanted them or not, whether they wanted to be there or not, whether they were happy with how we were living our lives or conducting ourselves, God was there. An everlasting Father who has been with you, who is with you, and who will be with you. And with this, Scott's question, we close. Am I an orphan to this existence? Many times our emotions and our feelings revolve around this idea of, are we alone in the world? Has God forgotten us? Is there a God out there? And if so, does that God care? Advent screams yes. Am I an orphan to this existence? Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 says no. That you and I have an everlasting Father. Until tomorrow, happy reading.